Congo and Borneo too, everyone's singing the commodity blues. As livestock, palm oil, cocoa, and soy expand, millions of forest hectares they do demand. If these four commodities grow unchecked, our changing climate they will wreck. Michigan and Vermont universities both studied how to stop this commodity growth. Certificates, boycotts, payments in kind, we mapped all the innovations that we could find. Comparisons made us go berserk though, so we launched this fine framework O. Supply chain stages set the frame, incentives, information, and policy make the game. We can now link two global factors, supply chain folks and governance network actors. The framework shows that with inspection, many parts make an intervention. So for example, Golden Agri-Resources, or GAR, the second largest oil palm company in the world by far, logged in Western Borneo to contention, drawing all the NGO's attention. Greenpeace tried GAR's logging to stop using Kit Kat commercials to launch a boycott. They created a commercial with a Kit Kat holding a finger of an orangutan. GAR stopped their logging 2 years later with a high carbon stock forest conservation policy on paper. So, while we try to think of silver bullet interventions, sustainability actions usually result from these more complicated layers of interventions and responses. So to conclude from our review, 3 points we know are true. First, a lack of demand drives companies to fast action. Consumers in Europe can be a huge distraction. Legality was the most important lever, and as a threat to reputation to these companies, it was more important than the actual market share. So even though this GAR campaign addressed consumers in Europe, the actual market share that's most important to them is in India and China. In other words, just by influencing their reputation, they were already moved to change their practices. Second, companies can't hold the standards they themselves police. Checks and balances need to keep the peace. We found that there was a lot of these initiatives were self-governing, and indeed you need cross-sector, civil society, government, and private sector intervention. So a critical factor in Indonesia is the development of what they call a single map that's available to civil society as well as the government to check the actions of companies. And in Brazil, a federal justice agency works at the local level to cross-check what companies are doing and others. And third, as the commodities make zero deforestation claims, surprisingly, forest loss stays pretty much the same. We found that even though these sustainability initiatives occur, they're really having minor impacts. GAR is logging in places where there's little intact forest already, and in Brazil, we studied a certification scheme. The first groups to join this scheme were already practicing very sustainably. And so I hope this tease will do for the time being. I'm still singing those old commodities.